Hey Greg,
How's it going?
good. How are you doing?
Good. Long time no speak.
Yeah. How are things going on your end? Uh,
Pretty good. Yeah. I just on a slightly aside, I haven't heard back from the Galaxy people. I don't know what's going on there, but um, there's the Galaxy community meeting in a couple of weeks' time, so I'll find out. But
okay. All right.
yeah, they've been trying to create this foundation for I don't know how many years. And I guess the whole, all the funding and everything is probably making it a little bit more urgent. But
Yeah, the and it's all the it's the fiduciary part of having a foundation that's actually the legal work. Like that's the hard part about.
yeah, there's, a lot of, there's, John Hopkins and Penn State, and there's a few universities involved, and they want to keep the funding going to the university. They don't want to risk their grants and all this. So there's all this, they're worried about that stuff, even though I don't think it's going to make any difference. But um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, there,
but just need someone to really talk them through the process and assure them that, it's not going to steal, they're going to be stealing money from them somehow. But
yeah. I mean, like, and there's different ways to set these foundations up, of course.
hmm,
The like I think the Apache Foundation is legally organized in a not nonprofit status, but the Linux Foundation is organized as an industry advocacy group. So, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the full implications of any of these choices, but I know they lead to different paperwork.
hmm, hmm, okay. Anyway, I'll reach out to you again when I find out. But
Yeah. Have you talked to Dan at all about this?
about foundations,
Yeah.
no, not really.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been interacting directly with the Linux Foundation as well. So we've had a few meetings with them. Like this thing has been going on for quite a long time, and we've met
Yeah.
with them a few times, and I've done slide decks for them and various documents and things. I think they just need sort of hand holding through the process. But the reason that I was hoping you'd be able to talk to them is just to tell them your experience, and so
Yeah.
they understand that it's not going to be the end of the world.
No, no, and yeah, in fact, I don't know what the universities are worried about because Matt and I interact with the Linux Foundation, no problem. The funds do go through the university. The Linux Foundation is a terrible place to try to funnel money through. Um, it's just very onerous from a bureaucracy perspective, and
Hmm.
so you wouldn't want to collect money there. I mean, the foundation's really kind of an organizing entity. They may have some money, but it doesn't need to hold a big amount of bank.
Yeah, I mean, they might want to have membership, perhaps,
Mhm.
and I think uh, Galaxy's big enough that they might want to involve vendors or, other entities that might be willing to put money into it. And also they have, yeah, um, participants in Europe as well as in North America, so they want to be able to like hire someone, like get some money from somewhere and be able to hire a person in a particular place. And at the moment, with a grant, you can't really do that because the grant goes to the university and the university might be in Switzerland and they can't hire a person in North America or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, they want to simplify that process. So the thought was that the Linux Foundation, or at least a foundation, might provide an easier way to do that. But anyway,
Yeah.
getting a bit
I,
off track for this meeting.
no, no. I mean, I think that is the case, though. That the Linux Foundation would be outstanding at that. They kind of do it all the time, so
Yeah.
that sort of thing is kind of in their wheelhouse. Um, so yeah, I put some minutes. We haven't met in a while. We had some scheduling issues. So uh, welcome back, everybody. Greg and I were just discussing the different projects that have sometimes reach a need when the community is so large, you need a foundation or some other entity to kind of help administer and oversee things from a number of perspectives. And this happens in larger scientific projects. Um, so I don't know if I guess I'll share the agenda that I have, which is really it's kind of the first question about of course, welcome back, but then what being back here now, what are I can share thoughts I have, but what is the state of your thoughts on how to advance research open source software through the work here at CHAOSS? Is it metrics work or practice guides, um, policy documents, uh, research on research software? Just throwing some ideas out.
I can talk a little bit about what we're doing, Sean.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure what we want to get out of chaos, but we've been continuing to work in the metric space, and trying to understand metrics related to sustainability,
yeah,
particularly not just general metrics, but what we're calling sustainability, which is, I guess, when you think about it, it's the long term, survival of research and scientific software projects, is really, I guess, what we mean by sustainability. And there are a bunch of measures for that in literature and so forth. So people talk about activity, in terms of commits and all that kind of stuff. So they're all definitely things that we can use. And we have been trying to sort of categorize or come up with some categories, and we've settled on four areas that we're interested in finding metrics, and we think the four areas sort of roughly relate to the sustainability aspects. So
yeah.
there's impact, what we're calling impact.
Hmm.
So that's the science that's being created by the software, the other projects that are dependent on that software, so what the impact of that software is, um, in general terms. The second category is community. So that's, around, um, I guess, governance sort of practices, and, other community related activities. So, building some kind of community around the project, and, obviously increasing the number of developers and users and all that kind of stuff. The third area is, I don't remember, resilience, I think we're calling it, um, which is about having plans for ensuring that the software is sustainable. So that might be like a funding plan, or it might be a sustainability plan, or um, things like that. Um, Let me just find the information that I've got here. I'll bring up this. Let's see, what else have we got? So resilience. Also, it's part of resilience is, um, recognition of contributors to the project. So, recognition of RSCs. So, in other words, attracting organisations to the project that recognise and provide career paths and so forth for RSCs from that organisation who work on it. So trying to encourage, that the recognition of RSCs as a
Profession.
profession,
Yeah.
ongoing.
Yeah. No, it's to me that's great. That's it just sorry, sidebar. The different level of uptake with RSEs in different nations is very interesting to me. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and you said,
There's a few more area, things in that in the resilience. Then the
uh,
final category is quality. So we're also looking at the quality of the software. So we feel that, obviously the higher the quality of the software, the more other I mean, users are interested in using it. Projects that might be dependent on your software are more interested, especially if you've got a choice, right? If you've got Project A and Project B and you can use either one, then, you're probably going to pick the one that has the highest quality.
mhm.
And, quality of things like uh, software uh, development best practices, reproducibility, usability, accessibility, all the utilities,
Yeah, yeah,
and then also things like performance and efficiency and so forth. So anyway, so we've been working on this. So these are the categories that we've been looking at. We've been drilling into those. We've taken some of the chaos metrics because obviously you guys have metrics and metric models in a lot of these areas. Uh,
yeah,
and we've been also looking at literature and other places. We're now trying to we're finding actual metrics that help us determine these categories and then how you collect those metrics. Obviously we want to try and automate it as much as possible. So we're trying to understand, can we pull these metrics from, repository mining or from GitHub APIs or, going out to Zenodo APIs or whatever. There's lots of different ways of pulling these metrics from different places.
hmm,
So we're looking at how we do that. And then all of it is going to be going into a dashboard and so I should, I guess, preface this whole thing is that we're interested in primarily the projects that are part of, our consortium, of which
right.
there's 43, currently there's 43 projects, and they're scientific software, they're C, C++, Fortran, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, so that's one area that we're working in. I've also got two interns who are working on research into metrics. So one intern is working on the relationship between testing and sustainability.
Hmm.
So is there a relationship? And so looking at, say, test coverage and, all the information that you can obtain about testing and relating, seeing if there's a correlation between how, extensive the testing is and what you're testing with sustainability metrics such as, community activity and that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
so that's purely a research project. It's only been going for about a month. And then
It
we
sounds like a really interesting one, though.
yeah, unfortunately, he's only here for I think 3 months total, so it's going to be
Yeah.
a short burst, but we might continue it on afterwards.
Yeah.
And then another guy just started today actually is looking at um, uh, a sort of related to testing, which is uh, what's it called? Oh my gosh, I'm having a
Not fuzzing.
no, technical debt. So he wants
Oh,
to look
okay.
at the relationship between technical debt and sustainability. And uh, you know, this is a longer term, this is a year-long project, and
Yeah.
can we come up with tools, perhaps they're artificial intelligence or other kinds of tools that, help identify technical debt, and how to remove it. But also we want to look at what the relationship to sustainability is in terms of metrics, so measuring technical debt, I guess, of a code. So anyway, that's what we're working on. It's quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think measuring technical debt, that I'm interested in that discussion. Really, all of this I think is pretty interesting. You've sort of laid out in my opinion, I don't know what others think, but a quite useful and clearly generated from experience framework for thinking about the issues around open source research software and scientific software. You know, the categories are extremely helpful, and the metrics research your two interns are doing are pretty great. Um, so, I mean, I would say if this group can help actually define metrics or help you figure out where to get data or serve this effort in any way, Greg, I think it would be a collectively good use of our time, um, for what that's worth.
I mean, that would be great. I mean, I can share this document. It's still sort of very draft at this point, but the document that outlines the categories and so forth. But I'd be happy to make that a working document. So we're not claiming to be experts in everything. So
No,
definitely could be something that we work on collaboratively if you would be interested in
I,
in.
I I think I certainly would be personally interested in. I do think it's a way to sort of get some actual activity focused on questions that folks in this group have. And I think it dovetails pretty nicely. Are you in the loop on the work that Jonathan Starr is doing um, around scientific software and building tooling, Greg?
No.
Okay. Well, um, John, this goes back to the meeting that Dan and I were at in Sweden last September, where funders of open source research software came together, kind of looking for what are the things we should measure before and after funding. And Jonathan, who works with the NumPy Foundation, is building a series of technical workshops asynchronously right now, and then I think synchronously in September in Denver, focused on integrating the metrics that relate to, I think what they're referring to is sort of like they're maybe more focused on AI related things like environmental sustainability. And uh, but then there's an integration of the software metrics, which are largely what the CHAOSS project has talked about, and correlating those with scientific outputs to recognize that, while recognizing that the software will be delivered in time period A, but the scientific outputs sometimes go through review processes that take a year or more. So, catching those lagging outputs from prior investment is at some point very important as a longitudinal effort. And
Hmm.
Jonathan may not be in a position where he can uh, say anything more about his own work.
I can show you.
Okay. All right.
Um,
I
I
don't know
don't
if you,
know if we're gonna. Couple quick corrections. I don't know if we're gonna have the thing in September
oh,
yet.
okay.
We have to get funding for it at some point. So if
The landscape has
anyone wants,
certainly changed.
yeah. But it would be interesting to team up with some of the labs and Linux Foundation and whatever to put on the event at some point.
Yeah.
So
Um,
let me share screen in just a second. I'll show you one
well,
of
come,
the things,
hit
Greg, that
me
you
up
might
in
be interested
Slack
in.
too, because if you help me understand what amount of I've done this before. I don't think the amount of money you're looking for is probably terribly large. Um,
Oh, it's very, so we want to fly everyone out. So it would be,
oh, that is quite large then.
yeah.
Never
Yeah.
mind. All right. Did you want to share, Jonathan?
Yeah, I have to wait for something to generate so I can copy it over. It should be over.
Yeah,
Ah,
I will just also clarify what we mean by sustainability, because it's a very overloaded term,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's used for environmental sustainability and all this stuff. And so we're calling it software sustainability. So to really, I guess, emphasize that we're not really considering environmental aspects, um, of the sustainability. It's more about sustaining the software project for a extended period of time,
yep,
and the
Yeah.
focus,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're talking about software sustainability, that's most often what is people are talking about. And I've really only heard the use of the references to environmental sustainability as the amount of energy consumed by AI types of applications goes up. That's where I have seen those discussions emerge.
Yeah, there's some literature that looks at, the energy usage of software, in data centers
Yeah.
and high performance computing software and all that kind of stuff. But we're not really considering that. So
You still waiting for stuff to generate, Jonathan?
Oh, nope, I'm good.
Do you need screen? Do you
Yeah,
have the ability to share screen or no?
let's see. It looks like it.
All right. Yeah. Usually on these chaos calls, everyone can share, but I never know when the Zoom rules change.
So this is a very big project. I'll show you just one section. It's essentially a giant database, Greg, of all the data you were talking about. We've found all the APIs and we compiled them into one. So it's projects, papers, people, institutions. And I'm actively working on the graph right now, like to visualize it all. But you can like come in here.
Have you to
I don't.
convince Jonathan that you cannot visualize it all?
No. It's step at
Okay.
this point. So it goes step by step. But
Okay.
you can visualize it all. It looks really cool, but it gets you nowhere.
Huh.
Uh, so I do need to ingest a new repository because this is a new database and this should still work. So I'm now taking OpenFold, which is a giant project used for protein folding, putting it into the database here. And unfortunately, this is going to take some time. So um,
And it's okay.
let me
No, go ahead.
let me show you this part here. So you're Oak Ridge, right?
yep.
Yeah. So we could look for. So you're not in here as a institution, so you can come in here and you can. All right, I'm literally in the active like generating code for this right now. So we can't do this right now, but we could just do Oak Ridge National
What's
Lab.
OpenAlex? I've never heard of OpenAlex before.
You
Uh, that's a
welcome
pretty
to a
useful
new
API
world.
and data set of published papers, Greg.
Hmm.
And I believe they've made a preliminary, the data set makes a preliminary attempt to map those papers to scientific software, doesn't it, Jonathan, or no?
No, it is
No,
not.
that's what
So
we're,
it is an academic uh, network graph,
Mhm.
essentially.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
That's what I like about
Oak
these
Ridge National
meetings,
Lab.
when you discover stuff that you've never heard of before. That's
It's amazing. It's relatively new, but it's got an open API and it's just like rich with information, so much information related to a paper, an institution, an org ID. Uh, but since I grabbed it, I'll now ingest Oak Ridge National Lab. So you're now an institution on Moss. So it should show up down here now. Yep. And there's your roar, which is a fantastic ID tool. And then when you guys create software within the lab, is it under lab-owned organizations, or is it just someone creates software, puts it on GitHub, and it's under their own name?
Both. And so
Yeah,
we have there's an Oak Ridge ORNL organization that has a bunch of software on it. Then we have a bunch of other organizations that people have created, like Neutrons is one. There's many of them. And then, yeah, so it'll either be under some kind of organization that someone has created or under the ORNL one,
interesting.
on GitHub.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a query or ingestion based on just people put Oak Ridge National Lab in the description of their software.
Okay.
Uh, and so now it's gonna download all those repositories, it looks for a DOI in the repository, and if it finds that DOI, it can download the citation graph related and all the academic data related to that repository. And then once it's done that, that takes a significant amount of time. But once it's done that, you can come over here and let's see if this is run yet. And you can run an analysis algorithm over any software. So like health, you can do engaged people, engaged non-PR contributors. So these are like users who have left an issue but have never made a PR. So it's a good way to show use of software. You can see what fields of research the software is used in. A couple
This would
others.
be perfect for for our impact, right? Impact
Yeah,
metric.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole idea is that what you're exploring, this database is meant to be like a foundation for it. So you determine how you want to define impact, and then you just upload that definition into this list. You just drag and drop the file. It's a really simple algorithm to build out. And you just bring it in here and it'll show up in this list. And then you can run it over any repository. And you can make it public so other people can also use your definition. It gets really interesting. So let's see if, okay, so here's a repository. I just ran my own really bad health analysis on this repository. It runs off of stars, forks, open issues, subscribers, and it's weighted. It weights those metrics, those indicators, I suppose, this way. And it came back with a 30% health. And what I'm trying to do is find OpenFold, but I don't know what number it's going to be. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here's OpenFold's health, which is a much larger project. It comes back with a 70% because it has all this data. All right. So when I'm just exploring my projects, I can run health analysis number 1. It comes back as 70%. Great. Let's run health analysis number 2. All right. Comes back as 90%. What's the difference between the two at health analysis? Right? And then you can get more information by comparing the two analysis algorithms. And there's a whole lot more. But there's a lot of work. Like your questions, Sean was exactly right. Sounds like you have a really good framework for how to think about this. And there's a lot of work from CHAOSS to this project to another project that Andrew Nesbitt is building called Ecosystems. That's just like a repository of amazing data. Lots of people working on this stuff. So welcome to the slog. Trying to make it work.
I would like to show you our I mean this looks fantastic, I should say. I mean really this is going to be this is going to be made public at some point, is it?
Yeah, an earlier version is up on GitHub already, but it is much earlier and it's much scrappier.
Right.
Is
Okay.
this isn't pushed to a branch out there at all, Jonathan, somewhere?
No, I develop locally. I really don't know how to use GitHub so, or Git at all. So I just develop locally, like
You
delete the
know,
files that I don't want.
Do you want us to do you want to come to our GitHub training course that we
well,
run?
God, maybe it might be
uh,
useful at this point.
I would be happy to spend an hour with you getting everything that you are working on into a place that is, I would characterize safer for what's taking place. This is just my opinion, not an opinion of the Linux Foundation or the
Are you
CHAOSS.
going to be in New York?
I'm not. I had to make choices on my summer travel because money doesn't grow on trees anymore.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Dang, I was gonna say let's go do it, but yeah,
Yeah.
that would be really really helpful. So at
Where
Yeah.
some
where
point
are
I'll shoot you
you,
a DM.
Jonathan? Are you based in New
I'm based in Burlington, Vermont.
York?
Vermont?
Yeah.
Because I'm in Albany, New York.
Oh man,
So
yeah.
not
I grew up in Rochester, New York, well, Dansville, New York, which is right outside of Rochester, New York, and drive through Albany all the time going back home.
yep.
Wow, that my brother went to med school at Albany Medical College, so I actually spent like 4 years going back and forth to Albany.
Hmm.
It's an interesting city.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that that is definitely how I would characterize it. Interesting.
It,
Not necessarily somewhere where you really want to live.
going back decades, I experienced it as classic personality-free state capital city.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah. I mean, we have that here in Missouri in Jefferson City. It's just it's milk toast nothingness and there's nothing else there. I think states that are smart enough to put their state capital with a major university, that's a good way to make the city less bland. But yeah, sorry, not meaning to diss for your location, Greg, but
Oh, I don't mind. I diss it all the time. It's definitely not a great place. But it's the proximity to New York City is good.
yeah, it's like 4 hour train ride or something like that.
Oh, not that. It's like 2.5.
Oh yeah, okay, that's even better.
Yeah, so it's been close. Anyway, I did want to. I do have a site I could show you, but I can't do it if we're recording.
Oh, I can pause the recording, not a problem. All right, back to recording. So yeah, I think that's interesting stuff that you're doing, Greg, and when you can share it, that's awesome. I think the some of the visuals that you showed are they're very I don't know what's the right word, but from a design perspective, they're aligned with the some of the things that Jonathan's doing with displaying networks.
Hmm.
Um, and they're also aligned with some of the things that the different chaos tools have done over the years. And so I think in many ways, what you've got there is a little bit more visually advanced than many of the chaos tools are right now in terms of presenting data, especially that core catalog type stuff. So I think
That's
you,
all open source too. If you guys want to, steal it or use any of the visualizations or anything that have been developed, you can definitely do that.
well, I think if you could bring a community, I mean, we could bring a community together around it as well.
Absolutely, yeah, yep.
Um,
Did you put a
yeah,
link to the repo in the chat? I'd love to take a
Uh,
look.
is it,
yeah.
can you,
Um,
or is that something you need to wait on?
yeah, no, I can
Okay.
put. So if you let me find the. It's on GitHub. Um, and you can see that's forked from our software catalog at Oak Ridge, which was forked from the Livermore software catalog. So it's like, there's quite a few deep.
Fork of a
That was a
fork of a
fork.
fork.
I also know, I think Los Alamos and possibly Sandia are also using this same software or variants of it. The version we've got's a bit old now because we haven't really done much on the core development. Um,
Hmm.
looks like Livermore have kind of enhanced theirs and made it look a bit prettier, but yeah, definitely feel free to use
Wow.
it.
The cascading series of pull requests that would be required to align these different forks of forks is, it's kind of a fun software engineering problem to consider, Greg.
Yeah. Well, you don't really know what you want to, what enhancements or changes you want to bring into your repo. But anyway, uh,
No, no,
you could
no.
have flavors. You could have like, different themes or something. You'd have the Livermore theme and the Oak Ridge theme and whatever, Cass
Yeah,
theme.
yeah. Well, this has been great, Greg. I think I'd like to hear more about this. Probably I'll ping you personally offline here this week just to see what
Sure.
else is I mean, because there's a lot of very cool stuff here. So
And I'd be excited to collaborate with Jonathan on the stuff you're doing, Jonathan. If you can share any, like put it onto a GitHub repo, Sean, if you can get that onto GitHub and share it, that'd be great too. Uh,
yeah,
Definitely would love to see what you're doing and what you're planning to do. And yeah, so anything we can help with. If you want to do an in-person meeting or something like that, we could definitely see if we could figure out something.
yeah, that would be great actually. Um, so yeah, I'll reach out I guess I'll reach out to you and Jonathan, keep the discussion going here and um, go from there.
Okay, that
All
sounds
right.
great. Thank you.
All right. I guess thanks everybody and see you in a couple weeks.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.